A buddy of mine got banned from a bass tournament in Lake Fork, Texas. Not for cheating on weights, not for illegal lures, not for fishing restricted areas, not for using electronics wrong. He got disqualified because of what he put on his bait. The judges called it unfair advantage. 3 hours into the tournament, he had pulled 17 largemouth bass. Everyone else around him? Maybe 4 or 5 fish if they were lucky. Some guys sitting in prime spots had caught absolutely zero. Nothing. The tournament director walked over to his live well, leaned down, took one deep whiff of the water, and immediately kicked him out on the spot. Told him to pack up his gear and leave the premises right now. Didn't even let him weigh in. What was the secret ingredient that got him banned from a tournament he was dominating? I'll show you exactly what it was and how to make it yourself in just a minute. But first, if this is your first time watching this channel, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the secrets the tackle industry is desperately trying to keep hidden from regular anglers like you and me. Let me tell you about something wild that happened at Lake Guntersville, Alabama, just 2 seasons ago. 2 anglers fishing the exact same grass flat on the south end of the lake. Same depth of water, around 12 feet. Same exact time of day, during the afternoon bite window. Both guys throwing identical crankbaits in the same sexy shad color pattern. The lures came from the same package. Same brand, same model, same hooks. Everything identical. First guy, using a $28 bottle of store-bought scent he picked up from Bass Pro Shops that morning, catches exactly 3 bass in 6 solid hours of continuous fishing. He's working hard, making good casts, hitting the right structure, just not getting bites. Second guy fishing right next to him catches 19 bass in that exact same 6-hour window. Same boat position, same weather conditions with partly cloudy skies and light wind, same fishing technique with the same retrieve speed, same everything you could possibly think of. The only difference between these 2 anglers? The second guy had soaked his crankbait overnight in something he made in his own kitchen for under $2 total. The whole preparation process took him maybe 15 minutes the night before while watching TV. Meanwhile, the first guy spent $28 on a fancy bottle of what the label boldly called proprietary fish attractant formula, with advanced pheromone technology and proven tournament results that barely moved the needle at all. Tournament officials later found out exactly what the second guy was using after other competitors started complaining. They held an emergency rules committee meeting that very night, changed the rules for the entire next season, banned it outright from all sanctioned events in that entire tournament circuit across Alabama and Tennessee, said it gave too much of an advantage and wasn't in the spirit of fair competitive fishing. I personally watched this exact scenario go down at Pwick Lake in Tennessee during a summer club tournament 3 years back. A guy I'd never seen before showed up at the boat ramp just before dawn with a big cooler full of pre-treated soft plastics. He'd soaked them overnight in something, wouldn't tell anyone what. Within 90 minutes of lines hitting the water at first light, he had his complete 5-fish limit. Every single bass was over 3 pounds. His best fish went almost 5 pounds. His partner, fishing the exact same points and ledges with identical untreated baits from the exact same package they'd bought together, had managed to catch only 2 small fish that didn't even make the 14-inch keeper size. Those fish went right back in the water. The guy with the magic cooler didn't say a single word to anyone about what he was using. Just kept his head down, kept fishing, kept catching. By noon, when the hot sun was high, word had spread like wildfire all through the docks and boat ramps. People started asking direct questions, some guys getting pretty aggressive about it, demanding to know what secret weapon he was using. He refused to tell a single soul, wouldn't even hint at it. But I got close enough to his boat at the weigh-in to smell what was coming off those plastics when he opened his live well. I knew exactly what it was the absolute second that distinctive scent hit my nose. Same exact thing old-timers in Florida have used since the 1950s for everything from bass to snook. Same exact thing catfish guides on the Mississippi River have sworn by for multiple generations and guard like a family secret. Same exact thing that'll get you disqualified faster than anything if tournament officials catch you using it in their sanctioned events. Here's the thing. The massive tackle industry absolutely will not tell you, and they'll spend literal millions of dollars in advertising and marketing to make absolutely sure you never figure it out on your own. They sell you scent products for $15 on the cheap end, $20 for mid-range, sometimes $35 or even more for the premium tournament-grade brands. Those bottles last maybe 3 or 4 fishing trips if you're using them the way the instructions recommend on the back label. They'll tell you in big, bold letters it's scientifically formulated in state-of-the-art laboratories by marine biologists and extensively field-tested by professional tournament anglers. The labels have fancy chemical names you can barely pronounce and talk about proprietary amino acid complexes and scientifically proven fish pheromone attractants. What they absolutely will not tell you under any circumstances is that their so-called revolutionary breakthrough formula is desperately trying to replicate something you probably already have, sitting in your kitchen cabinet right this very second. Something that costs literal pocket change at any grocery store in America. Something that works significantly better than anything you'll ever find on their fancy retail shelves with the flashy packaging. And they definitely, absolutely, positively do not want you knowing that this one simple ingredient is so incredibly effective at triggering fish to bite aggressively that it's become genuinely controversial and outright banned in competitive fishing circles all across the entire country, from Texas to Florida to California. That ingredient is pure concentrated garlic oil. Yeah, you heard that completely right. Garlic. The exact same stuff you use for cooking pasta or making garlic bread. Before you click away thinking this is way too simple or that I'm just messing with you for views, just hear me out for 1 minute. I can already hear exactly what you're thinking right now. That's it? Just regular garlic? Come on, man. There's gotta be more to it. Listen, I completely get that immediate reaction. It sounds way too simple and basic to actually work this well. Sounds like something your grandfather would tell you as a joke. But the actual science backs this up 100%, and the real-world fishing results don't lie at all. Fish, especially bass and catfish and even crappie and bluegill, have specialized chemoreceptors distributed literally all over their entire bodies from nose to tail. They're constantly tasting the surrounding water as they swim through their environment. Garlic releases very specific compounds called allicin and various different sulfur-based molecules when it breaks down in water. These particular sulfur compounds trigger incredibly powerful feeding responses in virtually all freshwater species and even some saltwater species. This isn't some mystical magic trick or superstitious old wives' tale. It's pure biology and chemistry working together in perfect harmony. Those sulfur compounds mimic almost exactly the same amino acids that get released by prey fish and crawfish when they're injured, stressed, or dying. When a base detects those very specific molecules in the water column around it, its brain doesn't stop to think about it or analyze the situation. The fish simply reacts on pure survival instinct that's been programmed over millions of years of evolution. It reads that chemical signature as readily available food in the immediate area, and the feeding response kicks in automatically and instantly. Now, before I go any further into this, You're probably wondering about that book I mentioned at the start. This whole garlic trick is honestly just barely scratching the surface of what the tackle industry has been systematically hiding from regular everyday anglers for literal decades now. I put together absolutely everything they don't want you knowing in a comprehensive book called High-Level Fishing: The Water Game. Inside, you'll find detailed chapter-by-chapter breakdowns of freshwater and saltwater reading in actual practice. How to identify productive zones in just seconds instead of wasting hours fishing dead water. Structure analysis. Where the fish really are. Never waste another minute on unproductive spots again. Current, tide, and water flow dynamics, the invisible engine that actually controls your entire fishing day from start to finish, positioning and angle of attack. What matters way more than whatever lure you happen to be throwing, fish behavior patterns throughout the day and seasons, how to accurately predict where they'll be before you even make your first cast, real-time decision-making on the water. Stop guessing blindly and start knowing with complete confidence. The high-level angler mindset. The actual difference between amateur weekend fishermen and consistent professional anglers. Everything consolidated in one place. No fluff or filler content. Straight to the point. Just pure, actionable information you can use immediately. The link's in the description below this video. So back to garlic, and exactly why it gets banned from so many tournaments. It gets banned for one very simple reason. It works way too well and creates unfair advantages. Tournament organizers want pure skill-based competition, where the best angler wins based solely on their knowledge, experience, and technique. When one guy shows up with garlic-treated baits and consistently outfishes the entire competitive field by margins of 3-1 or even better, it raises serious legitimate questions about competitive fairness and the integrity of the sport. Is it still a legitimate skill-based competition if your bait chemistry has that much of a decisive advantage over everyone else? Some tournament circuits allow it without any restrictions whatsoever. Others have banned it completely and will disqualify you immediately. FLW had heated debates about it for years in their rules committee meetings, with professional anglers on both sides arguing passionately. BASS tournaments? It depends entirely on the specific region and what that particular rules committee decided during their annual meetings. Local club tournaments? It's total Wild West chaos. Some guys use it freely and openly and dominate every single event, week after week. Others complain loudly to the tournament directors and get it banned for the following season. The controversy has never been about whether garlic actually works or not. Everyone involved knows for certain it works incredibly well. The fight is entirely over whether using it is fair to other competitors or whether it crosses some kind of ethical line. Old-school southern bass anglers have known about garlic's fish-attracting properties for multiple generations, going back to the early 1900s. Talk to anyone who fished the famous Santee Cooper Lakes in South Carolina back in the 1970s and early 80s. They'll tell you detailed stories about garlic-soaked pork rinds that absolutely destroyed largemouth bass when nothing else was working. Guys in Louisiana were using it extensively for redfish and speckled trout in brackish water bayous. Florida crappie fishermen would soak their jigs overnight in pure garlic oil and catch absolute limits, while everyone else around them struggled to get even a few bites. Mississippi catfish guides still do it to this very day and consider it an essential part of their guiding service. It wasn't some proprietary secret formula developed in an expensive laboratory by scientists. It was just common knowledge passed down directly from father to son, from old-timer to young angler, from guide to client. Then the massive tackle companies figured out they could bottle something vaguely similar with cheaper ingredients, slap a fancy scientific-looking label on it, and charge absolutely premium prices. Suddenly, What used to be completely free kitchen knowledge that anyone could access became a $25 or $30 product with scientific-sounding marketing copy and professional endorsements. Here's exactly how fish detect garlic compounds in the water at a biological level. Bass, catfish, bluegill, crappie, even trout species. They all have specialized taste buds distributed on their lips, inside their mouths, on their gill rakers, and all along their lateral lines running down both sides. A largemouth bass literally has thousands of external taste receptors on the outside of its body. It's constantly tasting the surrounding water as it swims through its environment, looking for food. When you introduce garlic compounds into the water column around your bait, those receptors immediately light up and send signals to the brain. The fish doesn't just smell the garlic from some distance away with its nostrils. It's actually tasting it with its entire body before it even visually sees your bait presentation. Garlic contains extremely high concentrations of sulfur-based amino acids. Those are the exact same molecular compounds that get released into the water when a wounded bait fish starts bleeding or when a crawfish gets injured. The fish's primitive brain cannot differentiate between the two different chemical signals. It reads that chemical signature as injured prey in the immediate vicinity. That simultaneously triggers both territorial aggression and feeding instinct at the exact same time, which is an incredibly powerful combination that's almost impossible for fish to resist. Multiple peer-reviewed studies conducted at Auburn University's respected Fisheries Research Department showed conclusively that bass held onto garlic-scented soft plastics 30 to 40% longer on average than completely unscented baits in controlled testing. That's an absolutely massive statistical difference when you're talking about hook-set percentages and actual landing ratios. The longer a fish physically holds the bait in its mouth before rejecting it, the exponentially better your chance becomes of driving the hook home solidly and landing that fish. In serious tournament situations where literally every single fish counts toward your final weight total, that extra second or two of hold time can easily be the difference between cashing a nice check and going home completely empty-handed with nothing to show. The catfish response to garlic is even more dramatically pronounced than bass. Channel cats and blue cats will actively track garlic scent trails from well over 100 yards away in moving current. It creates a clear chemical trail in the water that they follow right back to your bait like following a highway. In completely still water with no current, the scent disperses outward in an expanding circular cloud. Fish swim into that scent cloud and immediately start searching aggressively for the source. Let me show you the exact step-by-step process for making this powerful attractant yourself at home. You need exactly 3 basic things that you probably already have: fresh garlic cloves from any grocery store produce section, cheap vegetable oil from any brand, and a clean glass jar with a tight sealing lid. That's literally everything you need. Total cost for all ingredients, if you're buying from scratch? Maybe $2 or $3 maximum at most grocery stores. Here's the complete process from start to finish. Peel and crush 6 to 8 medium-sized cloves of fresh garlic. You want them crushed thoroughly and completely, not just roughly chopped into chunks. Crushing releases the allicin compounds immediately and starts the chemical process. Put all the crushed garlic into the clean glass jar. Pour in enough vegetable oil to completely cover all the garlic pieces, with at least ½ inch of oil sitting on top. Seal that lid as tight as you possibly can get it. Let it sit undisturbed at room temperature for a full 24 hours minimum. After that initial 24-hour steeping period, strain out all the solid garlic chunks using a coffee filter or fine mesh strainer. What you're left with is pure, concentrated garlic-infused oil. Now, here's the absolutely critical part that most people completely miss and mess up badly. You need to let that finished oil cure for another full 12 to 24 hours before you actually use it on any of your baits. During that secondary curing time, the sulfur compounds fully develop and stabilize properly in the oil base. If you use it too early before it's fully cured, it's nowhere near as potent or effective as it should be. The smell should be strong and distinctive, but not so overwhelming that it makes your eyes water when you open the jar. If it smells strong enough that you could legitimately cook pasta with it and your family wouldn't notice, you're in exactly the right range. Store your finished oil in the refrigerator in a sealed container, and it'll last 3 to 4 weeks easily, without losing any potency. In the freezer, it'll keep for several months without degrading. Make one good batch, freeze half of it in a separate container, use the other half for your immediate fishing trips. You'll have effective scent for an entire fishing season for the price of one single garlic bulb from the produce section. Want to make your formula even more powerful and attractive to fish? Add pure anise oil to the garlic mixture. You can buy pure anise extract at literally any grocery store in the baking aisle right next to the vanilla and almond extracts. Add exactly 3 or 4 drops per 2 ounces of your finished garlic oil. Anise has that distinctive licorice smell that bass and crappie react to very aggressively. It's been used extensively in commercial fish attractants since the late 1940s. Combine garlic and anise together, and you've got a powerful 1-2 punch that covers both olfactory and gustatory triggers simultaneously in fish. Some experienced anglers also add a small pinch of regular table salt to the mixture. Salt enhances and amplifies the amino acid profile significantly. Others add a single drop of pure vanilla extract. Vanilla works particularly well for catfish in murky or muddy water conditions where visibility is limited. The point is, you're building a completely custom scent formula for literal pennies that consistently outperforms anything you'll find in any tackle shop anywhere in the country. Now, let me be completely clear and direct about exactly why the massive tackle industry absolutely hates anglers knowing this information. Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy Sports, and every other major retailer. They all make substantial money selling you those bottled scents every single season. Those scent bottles retail anywhere from $12 on the low end to $35 or more for premium tournament brands with pro angler endorsements. The actual profit margin on those bottles is absolutely insane when you break it down. The actual cost to manufacture, including the plastic bottle, printed label, and shipping? Probably $2 or $3 maximum per unit. They're selling you garlic oil, anise, amino acids, and cheap filler ingredients for a markup of 300 to 500% or even more. If every single angler figured out they could make the exact same thing at home for pocket change, those product shelves would sit completely full collecting dust. The return rate and lack of sales would absolutely destroy their profit margins. So they don't advertise this information anywhere. They don't teach it in their free fishing seminars. They definitely don't want YouTube videos explaining the process in complete detail. Tournament drama around this stuff is absolutely real, and sometimes gets genuinely intense. I've personally witnessed anglers get into legitimate shouting matches at public weigh-ins over scent usage accusations. One guy publicly accused another competitor of using banned attractants to gain unfair advantage. The tournament director had to physically smell the guy's live wells and thoroughly inspect his entire tackle box piece by piece. Found a small plastic squeeze bottle of garlic oil tucked in a side pocket. The written rules didn't explicitly ban garlic specifically by name in the rulebook, but they did broadly ban any additive or substance that provides unfair advantage to competitors. Total gray area that could be interpreted multiple different ways. The accused guy argued loudly that garlic is completely natural and available to absolutely everyone at any grocery store. Tournament director said it didn't matter what the ingredient was. The clear intent of the rule was crystal clear. Guy got disqualified immediately on the spot. His 5-fish limit would have easily won the entire tournament by over 2 pounds. Cost him a $10,000 first-place payout. All because he used something that cost him 90 cents to make in his kitchen the night before. Here's exactly how you use this powerful stuff effectively on the water. For soft plastics like Senkos, flukes, or creature baits, soak them in a Ziploc bag with the garlic oil for at least 2 full hours before you go fishing. Overnight soaking is significantly better if you can plan ahead and prepare. The plastic material actually absorbs the oil deep into its pores and then slowly releases it into the surrounding water over time. For hard baits like crankbaits, jerk baits, or spinner baits, apply just a few drops directly to the belly and around the hook points. Reapply fresh oil every 30 to 40 minutes of active fishing to maintain effectiveness. For live bait presentations, coat your minnows or night crawlers very lightly right before casting out. Don't go crazy and overdo the application. Too much oil creates a visible slick on the water surface that can actually repel fish instead of attracting them. A little bit goes a very long way. 2 or 3 drops on a 5-inch Senko is plenty for several casts. Timing matters significantly when using garlic strategically. Early morning hours, when fish are actively feeding during the dawn bite, garlic gives you a noticeable edge but isn't always absolutely necessary. Midday hours, when fish get lockjaw from fishing pressure and bright sun, that's exactly when garlic makes the biggest difference. Post-frontal conditions, when bass gets super finicky and won't commit to bites, garlic-scented baits get held substantially longer in their mouths. You'll feel way more taps and bumps on your line. More fish will fully engulf the entire bait instead of just bumping it and immediately spitting it out. In stained or muddy water conditions, garlic becomes an absolute game-changer. Fish rely much more heavily on scent and their lateral line sensitivity in low-visibility situations. A strong garlic trail leads them directly to your presentation when they physically can't see it clearly from more than a foot away. Water temperature affects garlic dispersion significantly. In cold water below 50 degrees, garlic scent disperses much slower through the denser water. You need to fish it considerably slower and give fish more time to track it down to your bait. In warm water above 70 degrees, scent disperses rapidly through the water column. Reapply more frequently to maintain concentration. Fish are generally more aggressive in warm water anyway, so the scent significantly compounds their natural feeding response. The sweet spot temperature range is 60 to 75 degrees. That's when garlic oil absolutely dominates and produces the best results consistently. Fish are actively feeding. Scent disperses at exactly the right rate, and everything just clicks together perfectly. Species-specific application tips that work. Largemouth bass respond best to garlic when combined with darker-colored plastics. Blacks, purples, deep reds, dark greens. The scent compensates for reduced visibility in those colors. Smallmouth bass are primarily visual feeders, but garlic still helps significantly in current or cloudy water conditions. Spotted bass absolutely love garlic on drop shot presentations fished slowly. Catfish. They'll eat literally anything with garlic on it aggressively. Channel cats, blues, flatheads, doesn't matter which species. Garlic works on all of them equally well. Crappie are somewhat hit or miss, depending on daily conditions. Some days they absolutely love it. Some days they completely ignore it. Test it and adjust based on their response. Trout in streams and rivers respond surprisingly well to garlic on salmon eggs and power bait presentations. Don't ask me why that works. It just does consistently. Critical mistakes you must avoid. Don't ever use old garlic that's gone rancid or smells off. If your oil smells sour or funky, throw it out immediately and make a fresh batch. Don't store it in any plastic containers ever. Plastic leaches chemicals into the oil and creates weird off-putting odors fish hate. Glass only, always. Don't mix it with other scents unless you know exactly what you're doing. Some scent combinations actually cancel each other out. Garlic and crawfish scent works fine together. Garlic and shad scent also works fine. Garlic and WD-40, terrible combination that repels fish. Don't spray it on top water baits. It makes the bait sink slower and completely changes the action. And seriously, don't get it on your hands and then touch your eyes. Garlic oil burns like absolute hell, and you'll regret it. Here's exactly what happens on your next fishing trip when you use this. Everyone else shows up with their expensive $50 scent bottles from the tackle shop. You've got your homemade garlic oil that cost you less than $3 total to make. First hour on the water, you're consistently landing fish while they struggle. They're wondering what you're doing different. By hour 3, you've limited out completely, and they're still grinding desperately for bites. They finally work up the nerve to ask what you're using. You decide whether to share the knowledge or keep the competitive edge. Most guys won't believe you anyway when you tell them the truth. Just garlic? Come on, man. What's the real secret? The real secret is that it's not actually a secret at all. It's just knowledge that got systematically buried under marketing campaigns and product sales for profit. And remember, if you want the complete knowledge the industry systematically tried to bury, it's all compiled in high-level fishing, the water game. You'll learn water reading, identify productive zones in literal seconds, structure and positioning, where fish actually hold throughout the day, current and tide control, use water movement to your advantage, behavior patterns, predict where fish will be next, high-level mindset, stop trying blindly, and start deciding with confidence. The link's in the first pinned comment. This is the knowledge they wanted to keep from you. Now it's directly in your hands. So what are you going to do next time you're on the water? Keep buying overpriced bottles because the label looks scientific and official? Or are you going to make your own for pocket change and outfish everyone on the entire lake? The choice is completely yours. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video, where I show you another technique they absolutely don't want you knowing.